onlinepilatesclasses.com. And today we're talking about how to modify footwork on the reformer. I love this question. I also have some details to add to that, and we'll get into a couple different reasons why you'd even have this question. Because I'm thinking, like, why would you modify footwork? Um, this is because, like, maybe you're told you have to keep your heels together, but your knees get in the way, or maybe you're told you have to heels together, but your ankles get in the way, or maybe your knees never touch, right? There's so many different reasons why our bodies are slightly different, and that could mean we have to adjust or think about adjusting footwork in a different way. Before we get into that, clearly I'm not at home in my studio to show you footwork on the reformer. This is Kennedy Meadows behind me. Brad and I are in California with my own camping. We're gonna head home today, getting ready for our summer tour where you get to see you guys in person because we have 15 cities and we're going into Canada as well. So there'll be California, Oregon, Washington, Canada, and then we'll go into Idaho, Utah, and back home and in Las Vegas. So if you would like to take a class in person, a workshop in person, connect in real life, that would mean the world to us. Go to opc.me/tour. opc.me/tour, and you can see the entire tour lineup, see the workshops and the classes that we're doing. Space is really limited, and honestly, several things have sold out already. So you don't want to wait. You want to definitely make your summer plans around it. We'll start in July 25th in Phoenix, Arizona. All right, so modifying footwork. First of all, ideally, footwork is done on 3 to 4 heavy springs. A lot of people treat footwork on more like 3 medium to light springs, and I will say, um, I can understand if someone has lower back issues or some sort of condition that's going on, or they're just a more fun-sized person. But generally speaking, we want 3 to 4 heavy springs on the reformer so that we can start to really get the blood flow going, get the legs connected to the center. Also, I'm a big fan of making sure that you fall better and that you can go to the bathroom anywhere. It's a little funny that I'm saying this considering I am at a meadow. Trust me, there are bathrooms here, but when you travel different countries, the toilets are lower. There's holes in the ground instead of having toilets. And if you are doing footwork on a couple light springs, you're not really giving yourself the strength you need to move your legs from your center to stand back up. So I like 3 to 4 heavy. Now, obviously, I would modify that if when a person does 3 to 4 heavy springs, they are shoving their knees down, arching their back, dropping their heels, rolling onto their feet. So I always start with the ideal in mind and then look at what the body does and adjust for that. All right, this goes for clients and teachers. Start with the ideal in mind and adjust for that. The next thing is if your body has thigh abundance, which means your calves, ankles, knees don't touch, or you have calf abundance, right? Your calves are touching, so your ankles can't touch. I don't love the idea of just turning you out more because footwork toes, which is where your heels are together, your toes are slightly apart. It's not first position in dance. It is actually your anatomical position when your body is and skeleton's in neutral. There's a slight external rotation of the femurs. So it's a tiny turnout, okay? Very small. Most people, to get their heels together in that case, would turn out more. This is actually going to activate more of the upper glutes than we want. We're going to lose out on the inner thighs and hamstrings. So we don't want that. So what would I do instead? Instead of changing the springs or changing your foot position, what I'm actually going to do is grab like a towel or a squishy ball and let some of the air out so that it fits right between your ankles, gives you something to squeeze. It's going to close that chain. We're still going to get the inner thigh connection, but now we don't have to worry with the heels having like room, you know, moving your calves out of the way to get those heels together. If you're knock knee, the same thing. I'm going to have you put a squishy ball. Balance Body has something called the aligner. It's really quite cool. I think we might have some of them as prizes on our tour. We'll see. And my team will put an affiliate link for you guys in the notes this week. But and the aligner is this little concave cushion, right? So it fits right between your ankles or your calves, or your knees, so that you can actually align your legs. So you can have a closed chain. A closed chain just means connecting the dots, right? So footwork, toes, where your heels are together, toes are apart. If the heels cannot stay together from out to in, placing a rolled up towel, a squishy ball, or an aligner is going to be the most effective thing you can do. The coolest thing about this is you can actually stay squeezing that and then switch the ideal way onto arches by hugging your tool and then landing on the arches for footwork arches. Now your legs can go parallel. In parallel, even I have a hard time keeping my ankles together because my bones do stick out in my ankles. But you know what's amazing is as you get stronger with your inner thighs, it does sometimes actually work itself out. But again, you can just keep that ball a liner or towel in between your ankles and do footwork in parallel for arches, and then move yourself up for heels. So if you cannot keep something together, we just put something there so you're squeezing something, right? Because it's really effective way to handle a lot of different things. First, like in teaser, I don't like messing with the flow, but absolutely, if I have someone who has a hard time accessing inner thighs without squeezing their heels together, I'm going to put something between their ankles. Now, a ball in that case, I don't love because then the legs kind of move around like this. So I would use more of a pillow or block something that isn't going to make the exercise harder. Other ways to adjust the footwork modifications that you could think about is sometimes your foot bars are too high. A lot of you have foot bars that are almost vertical or just slightly off vertical. I prefer a lower setting. If you look at a classical reformer, it's a little bit lower. So if you're working on a studio reformer, the lowest setting is a little lower than my foot bar, but that's really going to help you access more of the back of your legs, which often will allow you to have more muscles turn on for footwork, and then you don't have to make as many modifications, especially if you have hip flexor stuff, right? Other ways to think about modifying your footwork is just, are you staying on the whole ball of your foot? So maybe we actually need to do 2x4 work with you before we put you on the reformer to do footwork, right? Maybe we have to teach you how to stand on the whole ball of your foot. Maybe we need to put toe spacers in so you actually can spread your toes, and that way have more of the ball of your foot on the foot bar, right? These are just different things we can think about without seeing you do footwork, without seeing what the issue is. It's really hard for me to know what to modify for you. I have a client who, like, when she would press out, she could get her heels together, but she'd press out, one of her knees would go down, then the other. So in that case, I actually worked with her on strengthening her hamstrings and glutes and understanding what real straight was. Because what she was thinking what straight was her knees hanging down beyond what we wanted, beyond straight. I'm a hypermobile person, so it's really easy for me to think straight is beyond straight. So I had to work with her on like what straight was, and then really working the inner thighs, hamstrings, and glutes around that to support that. And that eliminated the one knee, then the other knee. Here's the thing about footwork that I think people don't understand. It's not about straightening your knees. It's actually about opening the front of your hips. So when you're pressing out and back, I'm like, how can we get your thighs away from your hip bones? And then when you come in, how do we get your thighs away from your hip bones, right? And most people translate that to knees down, which isn't the same as opening the front of the hips. So hopefully these thoughts give you something to think about the next time you do your footwork. Footwork is this funny thing. People start to throw it away as if it's like a beginner exercise or it's old or I did it when I started, so I don't need to do it anymore. Footwork is so essential. It really does let us know like where your mindset is when you're working out. Are you just rushing through your footwork? Are you going really slow? That's torturous. Are you rolling out to the pinky sides of your foot? Are your heels dropping as you go in and out? Are your feet moving back and forth? These are all signs that tell me what I have to work on with the person doing the reformer, doing the footwork, right? If I go into it and I feel like, wow, I feel like it's all in my quads, it tells me I wasn't seeing on all the parts of my foot that can get me access to my hamstrings and glutes. So I love that we got this question in because it shows me that you want to get the most you can out of footwork. You should always want that. And if you're an OPC member, I can actually review your footwork. You can literally film yourself doing footwork and send it in to me. And that way I can go, oh, this is what I would like to change, or I would actually grab this instead, or maybe you can think about this, or before you on the reformer, maybe this is the footwork that maybe this is the prep work you need to do, right? We all are different bodies, and every day is a new day. I'm going to tell you right now, after camping for 2 days, even though we've walked around, we've hiked, and we've relaxed, and I'm sleeping on a Tempur-Pedic bed, I promise you my reformer work is going to feel different tomorrow, right? I'm going to have to do some spine cardio. I'm going to have to do some Cadillac, warm up my lower back, get my body back into things before I can expect to do the exact same thing I think it could do from last week. So footwork really reveals that. Joe Pilates is really huge on footwork, really, really huge on it. And Ramana got really mad at one of her apprentices because the apprentice left a client during footwork to go answer the phone. And that was back in the day when there's no answering machine, so you'd have to answer the phone. And the apprentice went to answer the phone, and Ron goes, "What are you doing? You never leave during footwork. You can go answer the phone during short spine, which is like an overhead exercise, which always gets dramatic, right? But the reality is, if they should be able to do short spine on their own if they're really ready for it. But two, watching a body do footwork and silencing ourselves, teachers who are listening, really not overcorrecting and over cueing, but just watching how the body naturally does this exercise in the right positions gives us so much information. And if we're overcorrecting, we actually can hide what the body needs. And this is something I did when I was a new teacher. I would tell people who hyperextend their knees, oh, don't straighten your knees all the way. Oh, keep your knees soft. Oh, keep your knees soft. And I had someone who studied with Ramana tell me, hey, don't correct something before you know where it's coming from. Because what you're really doing is just kind of hiding the problem, as opposed to actually figuring out, like, taking as much of the reformer as I need to figure out, like, oh, that's what's going on. They're moving this way instead of this way. Their legs aren't actually connected to their center. So instead of me talking about their knees, I'm talking about how their legs move from their center. And so for the teachers watching this, I really caution you for how much you're correcting in footwork, how much can you watch and just be curious. And for the people who are clients who have reformers at home or go to a reformer studio, really being mindful, footwork is not a throwaway exercise. It is truly about waking, getting the blood flow going, waking up your legs in your center, getting your feet connected to your seat. So what do you feel the most? If you're feeling your quads the most, I want to hear from you. That means the foot bar is not in the right setting and your feet are pushing from the wrong place. I'd love to see what your heels are doing. But we've got to get us into the hamstrings and the glutes. Thank you so much for this amazing question. I'm going to go back to camping now. And I'd love to see you on tour. We're going to do some workshops on. Do I have a question, Brad? Oh, okay, Megan. So without knowing how many springs you're doing, so Megan, people have to like. Great explanation is that's how it goes. Joe Pilates said 4 springs. That's a great explanation. Like if you're teaching Pilates, you can just blame it on Joe. That's what he wanted. But the reality is that like I use a 1 spring footwork to help connect people from with their fast. Okay. And also for those people who just like fly around, I want to do 1 spring because they're going to fly off the reformer. Now they'll listen to me. So that's my use of a 1 spring. But then everything else is 3 to 4. And the reason is because I actually need to strengthen your legs in your center. This is not about doing squats. This is not like we're trying to compete with the weight training, like back squats. This is actually like, this is the first exercise that we're doing. We're trying to get our whole mind and body into this work. And if those springs are too light, it's very easy, meaning like they're just using 3 mediums or 2 mediums and a light. It's very easy for nothing to happen, for them just to hyperextend their knees, for them just to do extra and go faster than you, which is frustrating for teachers. And when we take the foot bar away, their legs weigh more than that. Their legs weigh more than what we're asking them to do. So what I would just tell people is this is the best way for us to warm you up the quickest and for me to see what your body needs today. Also, it's what Joe would do. This is what Joe would do. And if you really are wanting to nerd out about how Pilates really truly can give people longevity, we need to think about how would Joe do it, right? Not how would Instagram do it. How would Joe do it? That's how you're gonna get the longevity that you want. So hopefully that gives you some permission. Also, I don't know that we have to explain everything. My teacher Jay, one time I asked him, I said, "Oh, why did you give that person that exercise?" And he goes, "My gut told me they needed it." This guy studied with Joe Pilates. People traveled from around the world to hear why he does what he does. And that was his response to me. And he didn't even feel bad about it. So you can also say, because I've studied this so much, I have spent tens of thousands of dollars and hundreds, if not thousands of hours studying this, and your body needs these springs. You paid me for my expertise. That's what you paid for. Not to come use this equipment. You paid for my expertise. Right. And I think one of the biggest problems that teachers are having is that they're actually not signing up for their expertise because they're afraid clients are going to get mad or clients are not going to come back. You know how there's some people who really love someone who like claps back. They're like, oh, okay. Cause I want someone who like doesn't let me do whatever I want. I hired a trainer and let me tell you, I told her this exercise, like this whole thing truly killed me. And she goes, okay, you'll do this and then we'll add 2 more reps next week. She's not letting me out of the exercise. I didn't pay her to babysit me. I paid her to train me. Your people did not pay for you to babysit them for an hour with great music and like moving some limbs around. They could go to a dance club. They paid you for your expertise. So just remember, like sit down and ask yourself, like, how many hours have I spent? How much money have I spent? And then when people ask, just go, out of all the training I've done, this is what I know works best for people. This is how I get the best results. And you came here for that, right? So you have to trust me. It takes time. A lot of these results take time, right? So anyways, hopefully that gives you some gumption, Megan. And if you need more, that's what I do in Elevate. Hopefully we'll see you on the tour one of these days. Anything else, Brad?
Just gonna leave a link for Elevate.
Oh, Brad's gonna leave a link for Elevate. It'll be in the notes. It's also you know what, you guys, July 9th, we're doing a live Q&A and a free mat class. So if you go to lesleylogan.co/elevate, and it's Lesley, lesleylogan.co/elevate, you can get information and sign up for our free class. It's on July 9th. Yes, there's a couple days of replay, no problem. But we only have a few spots left in my mentorship for next year. And so it's a safe place for teachers to ask questions, but get real specific answers. I mean, I do my best here, but I don't get to see you, right? We don't get to like talk back and forth. So this is a one-way communication, and that's cool. But I recognize that there's nuances to things, and I want to be able to answer that. And so I do that for Teachers at Elevate. I do it at OPC for all clients and teachers. It is all about your practice, whether you're a teacher or a client, and the nuances come from being able to see you move and give you permission on like how to build yourself up to an exercise. It's really, really important to me, as opposed to like bringing exercises down to the body, right? I think maybe if you might have thought that this whole modification for footwork would have been lighter springs, but instead it's like, no, let's build the body up. What do we need to do to make sure that the inner thighs can activate? That's what I always am thinking. How do I build a body up to an exercise? Right? And there's nothing wrong with a body that can't do an exercise on the first try or for the first year or 2 years. There's 500 plus exercise in the system, and you're not supposed to know most of them for your first year. Right, of Pilates. And unfortunately, teachers are taught the exercises too quickly because they're trying to get you through a program. And so then you think you have to teach your clients too quickly. And then clients think that they need more and more exercises. You guys, I do the same exercises every Monday at the gym. Then I do a different set of exercises every Tuesday, but every Tuesday it's the same ones. Then on every Thursday, I do the same ones. And on every Friday, I do this like for weeks before she's like, okay, you know what we'll do? Next time, we're going to take this one out and add this one in because now you're ready for it. And then you're going to repeat. But somehow in Pilates, we think it needs to be this like confusion all the time. No, that's not how we build bodies up. That's not how bodies are built. And that's not even how yoga does it. It's not how, like if you truly go to yoga and look at weight training, all bodies build up from a foundation, and you get better and stronger and better and stronger. And then you challenge that with playing with the planes and the equipment. Anyways, now I went off on a whole tangent. Brad's got to go to bed. We're camping and we're supposed to be sleeping in. Love you all so much. Have an amazing day.